Hello everyone. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about the functional programming, and our topic to discuss here will be pure and impure functions and higher order functions. So let's get started now. Pure functions are just the functions that does not change the data outside its scope. What it does is it purely takes the input, calculates it, and returns the calculated output. Here in this process, it will not change any data outside the scope. To make this clearer, I have created a very simple function named pure that takes in an input. Then all it does is calculate the uppercase value of the input. And as we pass the input roundnut, we can see the uppercase value of that in the console. So here we are not changing anything other than the input provided. So this is called a pure function. The other function that's exactly opposite to pure function is impure function. As its name, it changes the value outside its scope and can cause global scope pollution. This approach is not favorable when you are developing the app in a team, and it's because when a function mutates the value outside its scope, it can lead to various bugs and errors in our code. So here I have demonstrated an impure function that has a variable str and it initially holds the value hello world. After that, we create a function impure that takes an user input. Then in line 3, something unpleasant happens. The variable str that's sitting on the global scope gets mutated by storing the calculated input value inside it. Finally, when we call the function, we get the calculated input but also the data outside its scope, that is str here being mutated. So the last function we're going to discuss here is the higher order functions. Higher order function is just a fancy term which simply describes a function that can receive and return functions as a value. To better explain this, here I have created a function callback that takes an input and simply logs the input value in the console. Easy, right? Then again I have created another function higher order that takes the function as the input. This can be named anything you want, but I have called here callback. Then all this function does is it returns the same callback function that we just created before in line number 1, passing in the text hello world as an argument inside it. Then when we call the function higher order, the callback function gets returned and executed, displaying the text hello world. Another example of a built-in methods would be a map method. This method is higher order function. What this method does is that it takes a function as input and traverses the array elements by applying that function to each element of the arrays. As we can see here that after calling the map method in the array, the elements at each index gets calculated by a function passed in the map method, and a newly calculated value is returned. Alright, so that's it for now. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below. And again, thank you so much guys for watching.